Growing a business is kind of tricky right now. Supply chains are squeezed, tariffs and trade policies are dynamic, and cash flow, it's tighter than ever. You need clarity to come out on top. Without it, you risk falling behind. If only you could hop in the DeLorean and see the future, right? Thankfully, there's NetSuite by Oracle. NetSuite has real-time forecasting to help you move ahead with confidence. This is your AI-powered business management suite and the #1 cloud ERP. Trusted by over 42,000 businesses, NetSuite brings accounting, financial management, inventory, and HR all under one roof. It's your single source of truth, giving you the data and control you need to move quickly. And with AI built in, you can automate the busy work and focus on strategy. NetSuite helps you see what's stuck, what it's costing you, and how to pivot fast. If I were running a business with a lot of moving parts, I'd use NetSuite for full control over everything. Tame the chaos with NetSuite. If your revenues are at least in 7 figures, download the free ebook, Navigating Global Trade, 3 Insights for Leaders at netsuite.com/SPI. That's netsuite.com/SPI. The perfect product launch. It's the goal for every brand marketer. High heat, fast sellout, and fans posting recipes like trophies. What do Sydney Sweeney's soap drop, Taylor Swift's tickets, and your next launch have in common? Well, they're not bought, they're bragged about. Fanfare turns your drop into a moment. Fanfare cues real fans, blocks bots, and builds launch experiences worth screenshotting. Want hype without the heartbreak? Get Fanfare's 5-step hype drop playbook with our proven success formula and make your next launch unforgettable at fanfare.io/playbook. Again, fanfare.io/playbook.
That occasional time when I get that very unique and special podcast host, it's magic. The questions are new and they're fresh, and those are amazing episodes. And those I do share with my audience because they're new, they're different, they're fun. So listen, if you are willing to create a podcast that is the #1 solution to a real problem in this world, your podcast will win. If you're not able to do that, you are likely going to just be swallowed up by the mass of podcast humanity that is the world right now.
Wow. It's been a long time coming. A long time coming. What am I talking about? I'm talking about our good friend John Lee Dumas, aka JLD from Entrepreneurs on Fire, coming back on the Smart Passive Income podcast. He's somebody who I saw start from the ground up. I was actually, in fact, his first guest on Entrepreneurs on Fire with now thousands of interviews, which is awesome. And I wanted to bring him back on just to get a life update and a business update and ask about Kate and other fun announcements that have been happening in his life that I cannot wait to share with you here in this episode. Many of you know JLD from the back catalog and might enjoy this update very, very much. And there's a lot of business advice in here as well. We do talk about everything from Puerto Rico, which is where he's been living, to automation and how he does what he does still with his team and stocks and investments and all kinds of things. So sit back, relax. This is session 687 with John Lee Dumas. He's back, and he's great, and here he is.
You're listening to the Smart Passive Income Podcast, a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network, a show that's all about working hard now so you can sit back and reap the benefits later. And now your host. All of the socks he wears either have an L or an R on them. Pat Flynn.
Running a business means legal questions are inevitable. Is this contract or agreement solid? What can I do if a client won't pay me? Am I set up properly for taxes? Well, rather than trying to navigate all of this on your own or searching endlessly online, imagine having a law firm on your side without the high hourly rates. That's exactly what Legal Shield's small business plans offer. With Legal Shield, entrepreneurs get access to real legal support, contract reviews, collection letters, guidance on business formation, and even help handling IRS audits. Members can book consultations, upload documents through the app, and work with a provider law firm that understands small business laws in your state. You also get proactive help on tax and trademark questions so you can stay ahead of legal risks. And if a client delays payment, Legal Shield can send professional collection letters to help you recover what you're owed, all for a fraction of what traditional attorneys charge. Go to LegalShield.com/SPI or call 833-570-9980 to learn more and get big business legal support without a big business budget. That's LegalShield.com/SPI. Do you know the secret to businesses that are scaling faster than ever? They're using Upwork to tap into a diverse pool of skilled freelancers across various industries. With Upwork, you can find specialized freelancers in marketing, development, design, and more. Experts who are ready to help you take your business to the next level. I've personally used Upwork myself and can vouch for it. Posting a job on Upwork is easy. With no cost to join, you can register, browse freelancer profiles, get help drafting a job post, or even book a consultation. From there, you connect with freelancers that get you and can easily hire them to take your business to the next level. Upwork makes the entire process easier, simpler, and more affordable with industry-low fees. Post a job today and hire tomorrow with Upwork. Visit Upwork.com right now and post your job for free. That is Upwork.com to post your job for free and connect with top talent ready to help you grow your business. That's Upwork.com. Again, Upwork.com. JLD, welcome back to SPI, man. It's been way too long.
Man, being in the same time-space continuum as Pat Flynn, whether it be virtual or in person, life is good.
It has been so long. You used to be a recurring guest here on the show for quite a while, and then you didn't fall off the face of the earth. Like, I knew you were up to some stuff and big things, in fact, down there in Puerto Rico, and a lot of big business moves and stuff. But before we get to all those things that you've done, just how are you? How is life? What you been up to?
Life is good. I mean, I'll tell you, when I moved to San Diego and I brought my business there back in 2013, I was like, this is Mecca. Like, I may never leave. Like, this is the entrepreneurial haven. And I still feel a lot of those things about San Diego. I love that place. But, what have I been up to? Well, I moved to Puerto Rico in 2016. I've been here now for 7 years, which is mind blowing. I say to everybody who asks that I will never leave. And we might get to some of those reasons in a little bit here. But, Kate and I have our dream home here in Puerto Rico. We got married back in April, which was awesome. We were really fired up about that. And life is good, man. We're just hanging out, doing our thing.
I'm so happy for you. The podcast, still running daily or weekly? Like, how many episodes are you at now with EO Fire?
So Entrepreneurs on Fire is now at 3,763 episodes. And you are that episode, by the way. We just recorded it right before we got on here. So you are episode 3763. So be very proud of that, because you're episode 1 and then
yes,
100 and then 500 and then 3,763.
What in your process has been optimized across those 3,000 plus episodes? How have you now built this machine? What have you learned recently that has given you even more time back? After that many episodes, you've got to have the process nailed down.
It's so nailed down. Like, people all the time, they say, John, I know you do a daily podcast. Like, you must be so busy, but can I and they ask for something this or that. And I'm like, I literally and truly work 4.5 hours every week on Entrepreneurs on Fire. It's from 12 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. every Thursday. I do 7 back-to-back interviews, and I don't do anything for Entrepreneurs on Fire until the next Thursday. My team does everything else that's running. I get in the emails and I, respond to emails. I'm doing things on social media. I'm not not doing anything. But when it comes to the podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire, we are so dialed in that it's every 40 minutes back to back from 12 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. every Thursday. I do everything I need to do to keep Entrepreneurs on Fire rolling. And by the way, this 7-day-a-week podcast, we now have over 145 million total listens. We just signed our second 2-year contract with HubSpot. Our first 2-year sponsorship package with HubSpot just came up for renewal. We just renewed with them. That's a 7-figure contract, our second one. So we're still crushing it with the sponsorships and, the Podcaster's Paradise and our journals and our book. And those are the things that have been taking up most of our time. I haven't gone off and created, some, just kind of crazy YouTube channel that's caught fire like Mr. Pat Flynn, the PokeTuber himself. But I'm still having some fun down here in Puerto Rico.
4.5 hours a week.
That's it.
$1 million contract coming in.
Yep.
That's just wild. That is incredible. Let me ask you, I'm going to go outside of business now and talk about just wealth, something that we don't talk often about here on the podcast. But what are you doing for wealth building strategies with that amount of income coming in? And, of course, a big benefit of living in Puerto Rico is, less taxes to pay. So an influx of cash to do something with. I've seen stories of a lot of people who buy mansions and you have 25 Maseratis and Bugattis and other Audis in the garage. Like, what is JLD doing to build wealth, or are you literally like spending it all on stuff? Like, I know you're always going to be honest and upfront, so I'm just very curious.
Oh, I told you before the interview, there's nothing off limits. There's nothing I like talking more about than everything and being transparent. In fact, the last chapter of my book is called Keep the Money You Make, because to me, it's like all of us can make as much money as we can possibly imagine. I mean, that's a possibility in this world. But it's the ones that figure out how to keep the money they make. Those are the ones that really find true freedom and true fulfillment, because they have total control over what they do. So don't get me wrong. I haven't been a Scrooge and just hoarded all of my money over these past, 10 and a half years. Kate and I came down in 2016. We bought our dream home, which was a $2 million investment. Because of the success in the business, I was able to write a check for that dollar amount. And that's been a fantastic, just sense of security, not to mention investment. I mean, the house is more than 3x in value since I moved down here. I get, random offers all the time from people that are, knocking on the door and being like, will you sell this house? And I'm like, maybe someday, but not right now. We've actually bought another investment property here in the same community that I live in. So it's something that we are now using for Airbnb when friends come to visit. When the Flynn's come to visit, we can put them right in there. And it's a great oceanside condo that's got everything that, people need. So we've done that as an investment. A lot of people talk about the cars. I'm just not a car person. Like our mutual friend, Michael O'Neill, loves cars. He's building a Porsche from the ground up right now.
Yeah, Porsches.
Not my thing. Like, we came to Puerto Rico in 2016, and the only reason why we even bought a new car is because I won Russell Brunson's dream car challenge. So they literally were paying for my car, but one of the things was I had to buy a new one and take a picture of it. So I bought a 2016 Hyundai Santa Fe just because it was a practical car. And I took a picture of it and sent it to, he's like, dude, we can't share this with our audience. You're supposed to buy like an awesome car. You bought a Hyundai Santa Fe. Like, what are you doing? I'm like, this is my dream car. I'm just being honest. It's a car that has a 10-year warranty.
That's awesome.
And it's gonna be able to allow me to pick up my entire family from the airport because it's got 3 rows. Let's go. So we have one car in the family, one used golf cart. And I'd say it's more travel and experiences that Kate and I spend our money on. Like, we just got back from a 3-week trip to Japan. We met up with Ramit Sethi there and traveled around with him and Cass and had a blast. And, Ramit's another person who loves, the quote unquote rich life, where you don't spend a ton of money on material things, but you spend it on life and experiences. So that's something that we've been doing for a really, really long time now, which I love. I've invested in over 23 startups now, where I actually am writing big 6-figure checks to invest in other entrepreneurial ventures. Some of them are going to fail and go to zero. Some of them are going to do okay and return my money. Some of them might 2 or 3x. And, if I get lucky, 1 or 2 of them are going to absolutely explode and is going to be, crazy returns. That's the hope. I definitely have some investments in crypto. I definitely have investments in NFTs. I've got a lot of gold and a lot of silver, which has been great recently because, man, with people freaking out about the banks, gold and silver has been on a run, which I love. And then I've got a lot of cash because, listen, I get inflation. I understand that. My cash is actually getting 4.75% return right now because it's in a Fidelity money market fund. So even though it's cash, it's still getting a decent investment, which is, hopefully it's staying up almost with inflation. So I'm not illusions of grandeur there that it's some great investment, but it's a sense of security to have some cash. So, when things come up that are huge opportunities, like I look back to 2017, by the way, when Hurricane Maria tore through Puerto Rico and people were just fleeing the island because that was a very scary time. If I had more faith and trust in cash, man, I could have gone on the buying spree of a lifetime, back when people were just giving away properties down here in Puerto Rico because, it was a crazy time. And to know like where we are now, I mean, man, it's insane to think. But of course, hindsight is always 2020. So that's kind of a long way of saying like how I kind of look at money, how we spend our money, where my investments are, which is massively diverse. I love not putting all my eggs in one basket. But the reality is, like, I'm not afraid to take some big risks with investing too, because we've built a life where, we're keeping 96% of every dollar that we make because we only pay 4% tax, and we're paying 0% capital gains on our crypto, our stocks, our real estate investments. So you can really take some big risks there because the money just keeps coming in.
What are the downsides of living in Puerto Rico, if any?
There are downsides. There's pros and cons to everything in life. And I'd say for Puerto Rico, if you are a foodie, which Kate and I don't happen to be, I mean, we enjoy food like the average person, but there have been people that have moved down here that are foodies and they've been really disappointed because Puerto Rico is a bad, poor food culture. It just doesn't have that food culture that, you would like to think that a place like Italy has, which is amazing, or Japan. We just got back from that 3-week trip in Japan. Man, they have a great food culture over there. Like, that's awesome. Puerto Rico doesn't have it. Some other negatives is it's just a different lifestyle, man. I love living in the Caribbean, but everybody moves at a different speed. You're in San Diego, everything's convenient, everything's efficient, everything just works. None of that happens in Puerto Rico. It's like you're dealing with a different culture, you're dealing with different mindsets, and you just have to accept it. I'd say those are really the two things, because the Puerto Ricans themselves, they're called Boricuas, amazing individuals. They're so warm, they're so welcoming, they're just awesome people. I mean, you've been down here, you've seen it. Like, it's just a really cool culture. But when like the type A entrepreneur comes down here, and I see it every day now because I've been here for 7 years, they moved down to my community here in Palmas del Mar, Puerto Rico, and they're just like, oh man, this is wrong, and that's wrong, and this is wrong. I'm going to fix it and change the world. And I'm like, yeah, you do that, because I said that 7 years ago. And then of course, like 6 months goes by and they're like, oh, I can't change anything. And I'm like, just accept it. Just do your thing. Focus on your business. Focus on having a good time, and life is good.
Incredible. I want to ask you about the startup investments that you make. What's your filter process, or how do you determine who to invest with, and kind of what are you looking for specifically with that?
It's always about the founder. Like, I want the founder just to be all in, to be so passionate about what they're doing, to make an impact, to make a change in the world. And also, I love when their passion and their interest aligns with mine as well. Like, that really helps. Like, a couple of good examples I could give on this is like, we're investing in one company called Little Bucks, LIL Bucks. And it's all about bringing essentially this buckwheat brand to America. Like, it's huge in Australia, but it really hasn't made that much of a headway here in the States. And I met the founder. She's a female. She's so passionate. She talked about how, buckwheat is like so good for, restoration or restoring like farmland, and, how it helps so many people with all these different, food allergies and all these. I could go on and on. That's not the point of like what we're talking about now, but like that was like exciting, so exciting to her. And it was exciting to me. And by the way, like, I love growing with these brands too. Like, I was one of her first investors, and her product wasn't great, but that was 2 years ago. And over the last 2 years, like, it's just gotten better and better. And I just love the evolution of seeing this thing grow. Another great example is I have had this functional medicine doctor for 8 years now, Dr. Stephen Cabral. He has a great daily podcast all about health and wellness called The Cabral Concepts, which I listen to. He's my functional medicine doctor. Like, every 6 months, I'm getting blood tests and getting supplement, plans and all these different things to make sure that my health and wellness is where it needs to be. And he didn't want to go and raise a ton of money from a venture capital fund. He wanted to have like 5 or 10 legitimate investors who could also advise. So I wrote him, a big check to get a big portion of equity in the company, because I really believe in what he's growing with his company, Equilife, and like the products he's creating and the things that he's doing. And he is the hardest working person I know. I mean, Pat, I do a daily podcast, but I work 4.5 hours a week to do that daily podcast. I'm so systemized. This guy wakes up every morning and does a video podcast, just him and the camera and a microphone. And it's long. It's like 20 minutes long. It's just him, which is so much harder to do than interviewing somebody for 20 minutes, having a solo show for 20 minutes. He does that every single day, 7 days a week. And he's done it now for over 2,500 episodes. He came to my house back in 2016 here in Puerto Rico. We created this plan for him to do a daily show because that was what he wanted to do.
I was going to ask, was he inspired to do that from you?
Yeah. He's like executed. He's just executed on it. So that's just 2 of the 23 companies that I've invested in. And like, those are the people that I look for, the founders that I'm looking for, the passion that they have. And then it needs to align with like what I'm excited about too.
Love it. 4.5 hours for your podcast. What are you doing with the other hours of your day? Are you sipping pina coladas on the beach, or what are you doing exactly?
I'm pretty lazy. And that's actually a thing that a lot of people would find that's surprising about me. And I've always been that way. And it's just a fact. And it's kind of like the reason why I am successful, because I'm willing to work so hard in the short term because I know the delayed gratification is awaiting me. The reason why I'm willing to grind so hard at certain times in my life, which was like the first 4 or 5 years of Entrepreneurs on Fire. And then now, for the past like 5 or 6 years, still work really, really hard, but in short sprints, because I know that's going to allow me to not work really hard the other times in my life, the other days that I'm not actually doing the actual grind that it is to run this business. So I sit by my pool, man. I have this great Adirondack chair. My dog Gus is sitting next to me. I've got a laptop on my lap. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Again, I'm in my emails. I'm doing social media for Entrepreneurs on Fire. I'm communicating with people. I'm not like in the game, but I'm spending a lot of time doing almost nothing like when it comes to business. Something I've actually gotten into recently, which we don't need to go down this rabbit hole because it's just a rabbit hole. But I interviewed a guy about 6 months ago. He was a stock options trader. One of my past careers, I was in corporate finance. So I've always been intrigued by that. And this guy just had a crazy, awesome webinar and course. And I went through all the things. And now I've got a monitor next to me by the pool. I'm thinking about buying poolsidetrader.com, and I've got all the charts up, and I'm just kind of every now and then glancing at the charts, and every now and then I make a trade. Sometimes I make money, sometimes I lose money, but I'm trading stock options, baby. Let's go.
Oh, bro.
I know.
So people listening to this are going to go, this is way beyond my league, right? This is stuff that's not relatable anymore. And do you ever feel like that? Because I know that you serve an audience still. You have your brand, and you are, obviously have this giant audience on your podcast, and you have people in your courses and your community. But do you ever feel disconnected because of how successful you are? And if so, how do you get back to ground level to be able to make sure you're still serving your audience?
Yeah, there's a big gap now. I mean, when I first started, it was so relatable. I mean, I was grinding. I made $26,000 my first year. I mean, it was a grind. And then, things started to click and the hard work started to pay off. And by month 13, I netted $100,000 in my business. And that was the first month I published my monthly income report, which was inspired by you, Pat Flynn. And I always give you credit when people ask me about it, and they always ask me about it. And guess what? We just published our 114th monthly income report. We have not stopped. I have my lawyer on every month for a legal tip. I have my accountant on for a tax tip. And we have never netted less than $100,000 since that month 13. So, we're talking millions and millions of dollars. And now for the last 7 years, that's 4% taxed. So that money's staying in the pocket. So it's not relatable to most people. I think it's the Gary Vaynerchuk quote of some sort of less than 4% of people make $400,000 or less than 5%, whatever the number is. But, and I'm almost 8x that, 10x that some years, and that's not relatable. That's not relatable for something that's just starting off, listening to Entrepreneurs on Fire. So that's why I am really focused on my guests coming on and delivering their value on their areas of expertise and pulling that out of them. I realize that, what I've built, 10 and a half years of work isn't relatable to somebody that's on day one right now. Just like it wasn't relatable to me when I looked at people that were crushing it when I first started. And I totally get that. And so I look for different ways to bring value to people and just try to let people know that, hey, there's no difference between you and me except 10 and a half years of work. So don't say that, it's unrelatable until you've put 10 and a half years of the work in, and then you'll be able to relate.
I love the answer of, well, it's all the people whose stories are relatable that are on the podcast that you bring on. And there's plenty of them to choose from. And I know you do a good job on your website of saying, here's where you start. If you are this type of entrepreneur, go here and listen to these episodes. You have a plethora of that. How do you, when you promote or you sell something to your audience, balance the idea of selling the information and the actual stuff that will be useful to help people. And you've obviously proven to be able to do that. So many people have credited you for their start, John. How do you balance that versus selling the dream and the idea that you and where you're at almost becomes like a, oh my gosh, it's like so within reach when, yes, it is within reach, but there's also 10 years of hard work. And how do you mentally balance that? Because it could, it could skew to very, depending, and you've always done it in a very graceful way, but there are some people who could be in your position and who have been in your position who have sold the dream so hard that it's just kind of like I want to take a bath afterwards, right? So how do you do that? And because obviously you're still generating revenue, you're still helping people, and I'm curious about what your secret is or how you manage that story.
So what people need to do is listen to Entrepreneurs on Fire with Pat Flynn and Matt Gartland, because you guys just got done explaining in such great terms how you actually need to approach this. It's the progress. It's the results from your progress, step by step by step. So my best example of, what I'm building that you guys have been building and have built around community is Podcasters Paradise. It's, a podcasting course and community where I teach people how to create, grow, and monetize their podcast. Now, what we do within that community is not me there just trying to give people direct answers from where I am at right now, 10 and a half years into my podcast, 140 plus million listens, over 2 million listens every single month, millions of dollars a year in sponsorship revenue and other things. It's me encouraging the people that are in Podcasters Paradise to be the ones to help each other. So I'm always, giving my piece of thought and guidance and opinion on a question somebody might post in our community. But then I'm also saying, and I'm tagging people. I'm like, Mario, you're 2 years in, Sarah, you're 6 months in, like Tom, like you've just started. I want your answers to this question as well, because it's really going to help the person who asked this question, not just to have my thoughts and my feedback, but yours and yours and yours as well, because you guys are at different parts in your journey, and they can really kind of all mash that together and say, well, what's best for me right now based on all of this feedback from all these different individuals. So I really try to foster that sense of we need as a community to help each other. And that's what you and Matt did so well on the podcast episode on Entrepreneurs on Fire, is you guys talked about that, about how you get the results through the progress of building up the community to also build themselves up. And that's such a key thing to do at the stage in the game that you, Pat, since 2008 and me since 2012, need to really be doing when we're talking to people that are 2023, whether they're 70 or 50 or 16, like 2023 might be year one for them. And that needs to be acknowledged and really worked towards and focused on.
Yeah, it's the show them, don't just tell them sort of mantra.
Yes.
Right. And then when you have a community, you can have other people also show those people who are just starting out. See, it's not just JLD who has some secret magic. It's all of us who actually put in the work. You can do it too. And now people are more likely to achieve those goals, which I think is really key. So the idea of building a community, which you were very early on to do that, it wasn't very easy to do back then. There wasn't Circle, there wasn't community building platforms and automations around that like there were, or like there are today.
We used this thing called Customer Hub that was Infusionsoft's like answer to it was so clunky and so bad. I mean, I look back and just the progress has happened now. Like it's in such a different place now than it was.
Yeah. Speaking of different place compared to where it was, I want to talk about podcasting with you a little bit. The environment of podcasting has been changing since we started. Obviously, before it was the super nerds and those who are a little bit more techie getting the start. And then we came on board and we had personal brands. And then all of a sudden, a couple of years later, you started having the big brands and the big celebrities. And then true crime podcasts and Serial and all, like it's just gone mainstream at this point. And so what would be your advice for a person who's thinking about starting a podcast? They're hearing two old dudes now talk about how early we were in the game and how successful we were from being there early. Is it too late to start a podcast? And if somebody is starting a podcast today, what would be your recommendation to make sure they get people listening and they can build an audience and a community there?
If I launch Entrepreneurs on Fire in 2023 with my 2012 skill level, which was 0, and my following, which was 0, and all the above, it fails miserably because it's just another podcast that's being thrown into a sea of podcasts that are interviewing entrepreneurs about their stories, about their journeys, about blah, blah, blah. Like Entrepreneurs on Fire was the first daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the best daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the worst daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. It was the only daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. I was able to grab that market. I was able to fill that void. I was able to serve that underserved market. And that's what people don't understand is that nobody wants a pale, weak imitation of Pat Flynn. They want Pat Flynn. Nobody wants a pale, weak imitation of anybody. They want the true, authentic version of yourself. That's why I didn't try to create the next smart passive income. I knew that that was not going to work for me. I had to say, what can I create that's different, that's unique, that's going to, bring a different solution to people's problems? And that was Entrepreneurs on Fire, the daily podcast interviewing entrepreneurs. So in 2023, don't even try to launch a podcast that's this broad topic, this vague topic that's going to ask people the same questions that they've had a million times. Here's the reality, Pat. I don't want to put words in your mouth, and please refute me if it's not true. I get interviewed over 20 times a month. 1 day per month, I have a block of 15-minute back-to-back interviews. I'm on other shows, typically 15 to 20 of those every single month. 19 of those 20 times I'm being interviewed, I'm being asked almost the identical same questions. John, how did you launch your podcast? John, how do you monetize your podcast? John, how do you grow your audience? John, how do you monetize? It's the same exact questions. And then the show goes and gets launched. The person's like, John, can you share with your audience? I'm like, of course not. Because my audience has heard those same answers to those same questions hundreds of times. They could probably answer them better than I could at this point. And you just confirmed that you have the exact same situation. And that occasional time when I get that very unique and special podcast host that is a very special and unique format and flow, it's magic. The questions are new and they're fresh. And I'm not just going into, robot mode because I've said the same thing
Your script,
times.
Right?
Yeah, just my script. I'm actually having to answer different questions that's stretching me, that's making me think, that's putting me on my feet, that's getting my adrenaline pumping. And those are amazing episodes. And those I do share with my audience because they're new, they're different, they're fun. So my answer is, listen, if you are willing to create a podcast that is the number one solution to a real problem in this world, your podcast will win. If you're not able to do that, you are likely going to just be swallowed up by the mass of podcast humanity that is the world right now.
Amen. Amen. And it's true. When I get asked different questions on a podcast, it makes me think and it makes me appreciate that. One of my favorite interviewers is actually on a YouTube channel, Sean Evans from Hot Ones. And in almost every interview, the celebrity guest who definitely gets asked the same questions every time, they always go, where did you dig that up? How did you even know about that? And it's just they're so impressed when that happens. And we as the viewers are impressed as well. And your listeners can be just as impressed too, because they probably are listening because of the celebrity or some person who has something of use, or perhaps they just are a fan of that person. But then when they see you coming in a little bit extra to offer something different, they're going to continue to come back to you, right? So what's keeping you up at night these days, JLD?
I think the macro world as a whole. I mean, I'm not a huge person that is just thinks the sky is falling. I tend to just say, hey, things will work themselves out. They have for a long time.
Do you have a bug out bag?
It's called my house, actually. My house is a literal bubble bug out bag. I literally have 12 months of 50-year shelf life food in my attic.
No way.
I have 41 solar panels and 3 Tesla Powerwall batteries. So in Puerto Rico, we always have sun, so I'll always have power in my house. I have an atmospheric water generator right behind me that makes 8 gallons of water a day from the humidity in the air. So we're in Puerto Rico, we always have humidity. So I'll always have 8 gallons of water a day if I need it. I am completely self-contained. I am ex-military, U.S. Army, so I may or may not have multiple weapons in my house as well. For those people that think they can just come take over my abode, and I'm ready to go, man. I'm ready to go. Like I've got a garden. Like let's go.
Let's go, baby. 50-year shelf life.
Yeah, it's gross. I know if I'm ever eating that food, something's wrong. I do know.
Something's wrong.
I know that.
What do you think is the most likely outcome in the next 10 years of life for the world and this macro economy that we're experiencing?
Like, what do I think the worst case scenario is, or just the most likely scenario?
Like, what do you think is actually going to happen?
I think the most likely scenario is we're fine. I think we're going to figure out inflation after a couple of years, and then we'll go, on another nice bull run after we have a couple of years that we're going to experience over the next couple of years of, some tightening and some, Fed interest rate hikes, which we're seeing, and a lot of instability in the housing and other markets. And, this is part of the cycle of life. I think that's probably what's going to happen. I'm not a macroeconomist. I'm not a microeconomist. I'm not any of economists, but that's just, my faith in humanity. That's my faith in the world. And I hope I'm not wrong. And, there is a worst case scenario. The worst case scenario is the US dollar fails. Banks fail. The United States fails. And it's a scary time then.
You got 5 more minutes?
I got 5 more minutes.
Okay. I feel like we just need to sit and chat, have a bottle of Japanese whiskey, and just catch up on things. I know you are a whiskey drinker. Are you still a Johnny Walker Blue?
Johnny Walker Blue is like, if I'm really like saying I can go top shelf, yeah. But my standard is Lafroig because it's a much more reasonable bottle of Scotch whiskey. It's super smoky and peaty, and that's my go-to.
I'm still learning these things because I used to be the person at the bar at the blog expo ordering apple martinis and, Mai Tais and stuff. So Chris Ducker is the one who sort of slapped me in the face and said, here's a man's drink for you. I still have an apple martini every once in a while, but I do got to say I am taking a liking to my Japanese whiskey.
Well, I remember a great memory of 3 of us since you brought Chris up. I mean, we've had so many great memories together, so many great ones. But one of them is we were at, I think it was actually Ducker's event or his gathering when we were in San Diego one time. It was either yours or his. I think it actually was, now that I think about it, was yours because your assistant got us and hustled us out, the 3 of us, out a back door. And then we all went to the Scotch bar in San Diego and had some real drinks.
Yeah. And shout out to Greg Hickman as well. I miss that guy.
Of course, Greg Hickman.
It's been a while since we've all been together.
Yeah,
but
memories.
To finish up, companies that you are looking at, what companies are of interest to you right now that are getting you excited? Just big or small? Just curious about what's on your mind.
I'd say AI overall. And honestly, the word excited might not be the right one. And I kind of wish it was, because I feel like if I was excited, that'd be cool because there's some huge things coming there. More just aware that it's going to be huge, in different ways, shapes, and forms.
So you're very curious about it right now.
Yeah. We have a sponsor coming on. They sold me as a sponsor because they took 2 of my sentences just that I spoke, and they fed it into their software, their AI software. And then they were able to kick back an entire podcast interview. And it sounded like me. When you were on Entrepreneurs on Fire just now, and you're like, John, I feel like I'm talking like you. I'm using the same diction, the same tonality and all
cadence.
It had my cadence. It had my tonality.
Is this 11 Labs?
No, it's called Click Minded. And there's so many of them popping up. It's crazy.
Oh, I know.
So many of them.
I've been getting into the rabbit hole as well, and it's been really fun and interesting and scary.
It's scary.
At the same time. I mean, your voice is on 3,600 plus episodes, and you only need 2 lines to make something sound like what's your immediate thought about that?
I think it's terrifying. I mean, one of my banks where I have a lot of money, I don't know if I'm saying this out loud, but I mean, I'm going to change things soon. But they have voice recognition. So I get on. That's how they unlock my account so that I can make transfers.
No way.
It's crazy. It's they have voice recognition. I'm that sounds just like me. I'm do I know that bank can actually tell the difference between me and what that sounds like? I don't know.
This is a great YouTube video, by the way, just this scenario.
Seriously. People need to think about it.
We need to work together on that. Anyway, thank you for coming on today, dude. And even just 30 minutes with you is brightening my day because I know it's been years since we've connected in this way. We need to definitely do it more. I don't know why. We're we're very conscious of our time and what we do with it. And, I need to have more JLD in my life.
I would love for you to have more JLD in your life. So let's make it happen.
Which could be hard when,
We can say it.
I don't know if, yeah, can I?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because this will be June by the time it comes out. Is that okay?
Oh, we're already telling everybody.
Oh, okay. Do you want to make the announcement in case nobody's heard yet?
Yeah. So Kate and I got married back in April after an amazing 11-year courtship. I finally broke her down. She said yes. And in January, we started trying. And a mere 2 months later, we are 2 months pregnant. And so we are expecting, hopefully
a little baby Kate or JLD.
Yeah, little KLD or JLD is coming. It's coming along. Hopefully and it's going to be around the fall timeframe, so like the October, November timeframe. And we're both super excited. This was like probably one of the most intentional pregnancies like you could have. It's just like we've been talking about it for about 5 years now. Be like, yeah, let's do it. Let's talk about it next year, and then next year, and then finally we're like, okay, 1 year from now we're going to start, and then like 1 year from now we started, and then right away like we're like, boom, making it happen. So we're stoked.
I'm so happy for you. I have 2 kids my son is now 13.
So crazy.
By the way, he's a teenager. My daughter's 10. It's the best thing ever. And all the ups and downs that come with it, just you've never felt a love like you will feel when baby comes. So I'm super happy for you both. Always happy to offer any advice should you need any. I have a little experience there.
I will.
And can't wait to meet him or her one day.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate it.
All right, man. Appreciate you. Where can people go to get all your best stuff right now?
eofire.com is the headquarters. Of course, listen to the podcast Entrepreneurs on Fire with Pat Flynn and Matt Gartland. It was a great episode. So tune into that one. You'll be blown away by their genius. And that's it.
Thanks, brother. Appreciate you, man.
Adios.
All right. I hope you enjoy that interview and catch up with my good friend, JLD, John Lee Dumas. Always a pleasure enjoying hearing about his success and all the things that he's doing and the stuff that he's getting involved with. So congratulations, John, on the amazing announcement to you and Kate. And I'm looking forward to just being with you guys again at some point in the future. I know the pandemic kind of kept us apart for a while and we haven't been going to the same events anymore, but I'm sure we'll make it happen and I'm looking forward to that. So anyway, until then, appreciate you, my friend. And I appreciate you, my friend, you, the listener, for listening all the way through. I appreciate you, and I hope that you'll subscribe if you haven't already because we have a lot of great episodes coming your way. But until then, just enjoy the day. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers. Oh, and be sure to check out Entrepreneurs on Fire. John's always got a lot of amazing things happening there, and myself and Matt were recently on his podcast, so definitely check that out as well. So again, thank you so much. We'll see you in the next one. Thank you so much for listening to the Smart Passive Income podcast at smartpassiveincome.com. I'm your host, Pat Flynn. Sound editing by Duncan Brown. Our senior producer is David Grabowski, and our executive producer is Matt Gartland. The Smart Passive Income podcast is a production of SPI Media and a proud member of the Entrepreneur Podcast Network. Catch you next week. Hey there, quick pause here because I have to tell you about a tool that completely transforms the podcasting workflow. Riverside. I get it. I used to juggle multiple platforms just to record one podcast episode. It was exhausting. Zoom for recording, Audacity for editing, and then a bunch of different apps just to create clips and social posts. I've tried other ones as well. They were okay, but they were clunky and super time consuming. That's where Riverside has massively helped. I can do it all in one place, recording, editing, repurposing, one platform, one streamlined flow. I just log in, record with my guests no matter where they are in the world, and just like that, studio quality audio and high resolution video all in one. And get this, even if your Wi-Fi glitches, Riverside records locally on your device so everything sounds and looks crystal clear. But here's my favorite feature, Riverside's AI editing tool. You can remove silences and filler words with just one click. Hours saved. With Magic Clips, Riverside also automatically finds the best moments and turns them into ready-to-post videos for YouTube Shorts, TikTok, Instagram, all without the extra editing. So if you're looking to level up your production quality and simplify your workflow, go to smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside and use code SMART to get 1 month free on the Pro plan. That's smartpassiveincome.com/Riverside, promo code SMART. It's built by creators for creators, and I think you're going to love it. I get it. You want to grow your business, but selling at scale feels overwhelming. You're drowning in complicated funnels, creating different lead magnets, or constantly posting on social media. And that gets exhausting fast, especially when you're trying to sell to hundreds or thousands of people. But what if you could sell at scale with a simple, powerful quiz? A Score app quiz or assessment asks your audience key questions and gives them instant personalized results based on their answers. Your audience gets to know where they are now and shows them the steps they need to hit their goals. You can set up a quiz in minutes using Score app's templates and have a powerful lead magnet that'll do the selling for you. The best part is your audience actually wants to take this quiz, and you build huge amounts of trust before you even make a single offer. No hard sales, no chasing leads, just value at scale. Get 50% off the first 3 months using the discount code SPI. Just head to scoreapp.com/SPI. Again, that's scoreapp.com/SPI.